gosh, you could write an entire novel just on what you just said. That was probably the best thing in imagery. I mean, I love the imagery of, the mother of Moses letting the baby go down through the Nile with crocodiles and people that are hunting. Like, that is just, I mean, I was sitting there just shivering. I mean, I still have goosebumps. Like, what you just said is so passionate, and I just love that. Like, you just said, I've given everything that I've got. I don't have much more. And then it just, the outpouring of love that probably came from friends and families and God, is just amazing. And I think there's a connection, right? I mean, before I go down this more, I have to ask this question. How did your other children react? How were they through this whole process? I mean, look, seeing a bald-headed pregnant woman, getting whistled at, that's one thing, but having your children, like, look, girls love to play with their mom's hair. They love to braid the hair. They love to dress up the hair. Now they've got just help us understand, like, how did your 5 children, your other children, how did they react to this?
Yeah, well, kids are amazing. They are amazing. And they were still kids. So when we shaved my head, I wanted them to be there because I didn't want them to, have mom with long hair and all of a sudden, nothing. They were with me as it was falling out. They'd pull it out in fistfuls. And they thought that was, pretty weird and cool. Especially the boys thought that was pretty weird and cool. So they were with me as we shaved it. So it wasn't like a big shock to them. And we made it kind of funny. I did a mohawk, with the last little bit of my hair, and we took some pictures. But yeah, so my daughter was playing with me out in the forest a couple of days later, and she's like, okay, we're bringing fairies and I'm going to be the princess and you're going to be the queen. And she looked at me and she's like, pretend that you have hair. Which just made me laugh. And then my son Joseph came running across the field one day screaming like, mom, mom, mom. I'm like, okay, who's dead? Like, who died? Like,
right.
What's going on? Who's in trouble? What leg's broken? And he comes running across the field and he's shouting at me, mom, mom, mom. And I said, what? And he's like, are you still bald? And so I was wearing a hat. So I took the hat off and I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay. And then he runs back and just goes off and plays again. So they definitely had processing. And I'm sure, there was definitely some fear that they had, but they were so resilient too. And we tried to just be really, open with them about what was going on and try to involve them rather than being like, you're too young, you can't like handle this. Not necessarily involve them with all the heavy emotional stuff, but like at least involve them in what was going on, and helping take care of the baby and helping take care of mom and those kind of things. I asked them now how it was for them, and they all remember. The older ones remember it, but they don't have a lot of fear, I don't feel like, or too much trauma about it. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh my gosh. I love how you involved your children. Like, they were there to watch you shave your head, right? You just involved them. And I think oftentimes as parents, we want to protect, right? We want to isolate. We want to, no, this event could traumatize them. Let's not do that, right? Like, let's not traumatize. I hear this all the time. Let's not traumatize our kids even more than we're already doing. But you took the approach of, no, let's include it. Let's be involved. Let's help them understand and help them just see, like, we'll get through this. And years down the road, they're going to look back at that event and be like, this was nothing. I mean, it was something, but looking back now, can you give us just two actionable items that you would recommend to anybody that's going through a traumatic event? Whether it's cancer, whether it's the feeling of, I just have to let go, whether it's, I'm not doing what's right. Can you just give us one or two steps that you would recommend somebody doing to help them get through that traumatic event?
Yeah. So the first one is like, tune out all the other voices. Oftentimes when we're going through a challenge, well-meaning people that love us, they care about us, but they can bombard us with information and you should do this and advice. And oftentimes they're very well-meaning, but I see this a lot in the relationship space. Like, you should just move on. You should just, you should just get a divorce. You should just, everyone's got their advice. And really what it comes down to is you need to tune out all those other voices, even voices of experts, like in my case with doctors or professionals telling you one thing. But if your heart's telling you something else, you got to listen to that inner part of your soul that knows truth. And when you do, then all of the other voices just kind of fade away and you have clarity and you have focus. You know where you're going and you know why you're going there. And that gives you the strength, the tenacity to hold fast to that, even when things get challenging, or even when they come back at you. And, you know, I had family members that didn't support us, that told me I should abort the baby, that I should think about my 5 children, that this was too risky. And so I had to tune out those voices and be like, I know what's true for me. And I'm the only one that gets to live with my decisions right now. And so while I know you love me and you care about me, I have to do this for me. And so I would really encourage anyone that's going through crisis to try to tune out the voices and your own voice of fear, because your own voice of fear can be deafening.
Yeah.
And get to that quieter, stiller part of your soul that knows truth, and connect to that and listen to that voice above all.
Oh, I love it. That was awesome. We're not done, by the way. So if you are like, don't stop. We aren't stopping. But I love that. I love, because you have walked the path, right? You're not just telling it from a perspective of a professional, but you understand that path. You understand how hard it is to tell people, friends. In fact, often, why is it that I've always wondered this? Why is it always the ones that we're closest to that have that think they have the biggest voice? And oftentimes they're the ones that are the most critical. You should do this. You shouldn't do. Well, you know, if you do, how do you know? It's like, where's this? Just support me. Like, that's what you want. Perfect. What can we do to help? Right. And I love how you just said, tune it all out. It's up to you and your loved one. You know, obviously your husband, Ben, you guys did what was right. But more importantly, this is why I won't judge a woman ever about how she handles pregnancy. Right. A woman knows her body better than anybody else, better than any doctors, better than any specialist, any man, right? Any husband. You know, your women know their bodies. And I think it's a God-given right to just understand their body. And I love that. I love that. Never be never, don't second guess a judgment or a feeling to protect you, protect your children, because you know what's right. And that's a gift that's been given. I love it. That was fantastic. So let me ask, all right, so now we got to move on. Let's transition, because this is what I'm if we're not excited already, this is awesome. So why start going to this space? According to ibsworld.com, there are over 206,000 psychologists, social workers, and marriage counselors in the United States. Why start High Thrive? I mean, with that knowledge, I don't know if you knew that. With that, why start it? What was the purpose behind starting High Thrive?
Yeah. So like you said there, Cameron, like I'd been through the dark night of the soul, right? I'd been through like Beyond Your Limits. I'd been through like 5% chance at life, overcoming the odds. But more importantly than anything, maybe on the exterior, I went through like total inner transformation of I am good enough. Like I talked about from an early age on, linking back to childhood, feeling like I'm not good enough. I have to prove myself. I'm not really worthy. I have to work really hard and I always mess it up. The people I love are going to reject me. It's never going to be enough for them. That's where I was living from. I didn't recognize it because most of us don't. Like it's a subconscious pattern, but we have this anxiety that we just can't get rid of, or this like fear or this feeling of I have to prove myself. I'm not good enough. I'm not intelligent enough, right? Whatever it is, right? We pick up on all of those stories in life. And I finally was given this chance to look at those stories and see them for what they were and realize that they weren't true. And I had the opportunity to say, I can continue to live those stories, or I can choose the truth of who I am. And it's the truth of who we all are, that we are good enough. We are deserving. We are capable. We are worthy. We are a piece of the divine. And anything else is an absolute crap lie. Okay. And so if you're not living from a space of truth, then you've chosen a story that isn't true. And so learning that in myself and being like, oh my goodness, I don't have to keep feeling that way. I don't have to keep thinking that way. I don't have to keep feeling anxiety and fear towards my husband because I'm worried he's going to leave me because I'm not good enough. Right. And all of the things that were patterns in our relationship. And I saw how when we shift those internal beliefs, then the external world completely changes. And I had heard that before, right? But I never like felt it or had never experienced it in this kind of way. And so I was Like a lot of people that go through something like that, you're hungry to help other people, and you're hungry to want to make a difference for other people. You're hungry to alleviate suffering that you see other people around you are going through. And so I said, if anyone else is ready to know who they really are, then I would love to help guide them there. Right. If anyone else is ready. And unfortunately, it usually takes crisis. It usually takes a big wake up call to get to the point where you're finally like, enough, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get out of this, because this is hell. Right.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I've been given a second chance at life, and I want to make a bigger impact here. And I want to be able to help people and help couples and help families to heal some of these false stories that they've picked up about themselves. And my idea, the thought that I had there, and it's not just mine because this is just the truth, right? Is that when we uncover who we really are and we heal ourselves, then we heal our marriage, right? Then we have the kind of happiness and the love that our heart has been craving all along. And so that's where we came from. Very different mold than traditional therapy. I didn't know that there's that many therapists and, whatever, counselors out there, which is, it's fine. But what we do is actually very, very different than the traditional mold of therapy and counseling. And so I wanted to be able to create a space for couples that really wanted to have change and have it quickly, to be able to have a way to do that.
No, you did not just to create a space, the declaration, right? I was watching your talk a couple of weeks ago. You did a live. You said something in the live. This is the building block, the foundational piece, right? We want to create a new society where healthy marriages are the norm, where unhealthy patterns are healed, and we create a world that our children can grow up in, where marriages last, and they last for life. That declaration, that statement, that is so powerful. And if you have walked through the path, like you said, you've been through hell, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you've been there. And to create now something that's beautiful, would you say the calling you're in now, would you say that is your divine calling? Would you say, after, like you said, growing up, feeling like you weren't good enough, right? Always having to live up to a standard, playing with your siblings and say, hey, we're going to create something. We're going to create. You've always been in this creating mode. So would you say where you are currently, that this path you're on, would you say you have now finally arrived to what you were truly called for?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know it with every fiber of my being that I've been called to help open doors of light and understanding to numerous people, and help families and marriages to heal. And to create that new society. And like I said, it's incredible. More and more people are getting on the boat, and they're creating a different reality. It's not a high percentage of people still. Most people know this, right? Cameron, how many couples end in divorce, right? I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know how many?
45%.
Yeah. Do you know how many are actually happy that stay together?
No, I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah, most people don't know. There's been studies about that as well. And it's less than 8% of couples. So 92%.
Say that again. Please say that again for me.
Yeah. So less than 8% of couples report actually being happy in their marriage, of those that stay together. So 92% of couples out there are not happy or are divorced. And to me, that's a staggering amount of unhappiness, and just life's just too short to live it in that way. And so I've been fascinated. What does it take to become one of the 8% of couples? And I would say that my marriage is in one of the 8%. We're not perfect, but I apply the same principles that I teach all the time. And we do have harmony and amazing intimacy and connection and unity, right? And so more and more people, though, are learning what it takes to be one of the 8% of couples, and to have the marriage and the life and the connection, the romance, the passion that we've always wanted. It's just that our society has not taught us how to do it. If so, then there would be a lot more happy couples out there, and there's just simply not right now. So that's what we do, though. And that's the good news, is that what we teach isn't special. Like, it's not special. Like, to me, it's not special to, like, you can do it, Cameron. Anyone listening to this can do it. They're just skills and doing things in a different way than anything that we've been taught up until now. But it's something that anyone can do. I've seen people all across walks of life. An 82-year-old woman last week, a 21-year-old guy the week before, you know what I mean? So like all different, it doesn't matter who you are. It just matters, are you willing to do what it takes to get there? You know, are you willing to listen to that part of yourself that says, I need to do this. This is worth everything to me, and I'm willing to do what it takes. That's the only thing that matters. If you decide where you want to go and you have the commitment to getting there, then the way makes itself manifest.
Oh, I love it. I love that last statement. If you're willing to commit, then the way will manifest it, right? It's like the saying, when the student is willing, the teacher appears. I love that. Guys, look, she's not just somebody. Look, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have clients in the US, Canada, the UK, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. I could go on and on and on. She knows what she's talking about, right? She's been through the fire. She's walked through the fire, and transforming people is what she is called to do, and she is doing it. This is fantastic what you have said. Unbelievable. I would, if you have not, you can YouTube it. You did a training on February 11th to 2020, which is awesome. You give a bunch of nuggets on what we can do, and just you talk. You're not just walking. You're not talking. You're talking. You're walking the walk, which I absolutely love. All right, I need to ask you a couple questions from this, because it's something that I think all of us is growing up. We hear this, you know. I've heard this a lot, right? That when you get married, right, there's three things you're going to argue about. Always you're going to argue about, right? It's the time, there's money, or there's sex. It's one of those three. To be in perfect harmony is fantastic, right? You could have all three of them, be great. So help us balance this out. Like, you know, I'm 44. I'm 44 years old. I've been divorced. You know, I was divorced, single dad for years. I'm now remarried. To my beautiful, I call her my hot wife, because she truly is my hot wife. But there is that balance we're trying to find, right? Time, money, and sex. I mean, it's what it is. We got married, and we had instantly 10 kids. I had 4, she had 6. You know, I had 4 brown kids, she had 4 white kids. It was fantastic, right? We had there really no honeymoon. It was just, we got married, and then her oldest just got back from serving in a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so we got married on a Friday. We set up all day on Saturday, and we had people over on Sunday. And it's just been this, how do you balance it? Like, how do you balance this out? So it is one of the questions I would love for you to answer, is how to balance, how to set boundaries. What can you do? Give us some insight.
All right. Awesome. I'm going to add a 4th one there, and the other one's parenting. Doesn't apply to every couple, but I'm going to add that one in there because it does for a lot of people. And that's the other thing that tends to really become a challenging issue. So when you're thinking about time, money, sex, kids, you're really talking about core needs, right? We all have core needs with our time, our energy, our priorities. With money and security or growth and fun, we have needs for sex and intimacy and connection and fulfillment of all different levels, right? Emotionally, physically, spiritually. And then with kids, we've got our values. What do I value? What do you value? What's our legacy, right? And so when we're talking about these things, more often than not, we've picked up those programs like we talked about earlier, right? We come with our limiting beliefs, our expectations. Our spouse comes with their limiting beliefs, kind of the crap story that they picked up along the way, and their expectations. You put it all together in a big mix, and it's usually kaboom, right? That's why 92% of people are really struggling to navigate this thing. And even, you know, Ben and I, as healthy and amazing as it is, we still have challenges, right? Sometimes he's a little hard on the kids, and I'm like, we should be a little easier going about that, right? So we definitely have those moments. So what really has helped give me a lot of clarity is understanding what we call the drama triangle. I'm going to go into it really briefly, but this is where most people are operating because of those limiting beliefs, because of those expectations, because of the patterns that we picked up from our parents and from our culture and our society. You can see this in any drama, any sitcom. It's what we love. It's what we call the drama triangle.
Right.
So it includes the villain, who's the persecutor. They're the one that's saying it has to be this way. And they're inflicting kind of their will or their desire on other people. And then, of course, the opposite of that, you have the victim, the person that's usually being kind of inflicted will upon, the person that says it's their fault, it's not my fault, I'm not to blame. I don't need to change here. Oh, woe is me, poor me, right? And then you have the hero. The hero comes in to save the day, to make everything right, to save the victim from the persecutor, and to make everything right, and to make everyone happy. The problem with the hero is that they tend to give and give and give and give. And then eventually they become resentful because someone can only give and give and give so long. And then they tend to step in either to the villain or the victim. Okay. So those are the three primary roles. And in our relationships, I'm sure you can, if you look at it, you can see, where am I being the victim? Where am I being the villain? Where am I being the hero here? Right. And we tend to be dominant in one of those, and our spouse tends to be dominant in one of the others, but we kind of cycle around and around and around in this. And it creates a lot of tension. It creates a lot of misunderstanding. It creates disconnection. It creates drama. It creates hurt. And it creates it's very unhealthy patterns. And when they become so unhealthy, what might have been little micro damage before becomes macro damage. And then the relationship really starts to deteriorate and sometimes ends, right? But all of us are usually experiencing at least a little bit of this damage, this micro damage of the drama triangle in our relationships. And so the beauty is, though, we don't have to stay there. That's what society is telling us. That's what you do, right? You play in one of those roles, and your partner plays in the other role. And Ben and I even looked at some of our playing in these roles, and we were laughing about it just earlier in the summer, because we recognized another time when we were kind of dancing around in this drama triangle. And we were like, it's like we become functional with our dysfunction. We just kind of got used to it. It's just kind of the way that it is. It's just kind of how we do life. It's how we talk about money. You know, I'm the villain because I'm saying, no, you can't go buy that. And then he feels like the victim because he's like, I want to go have fun. And you never let me have fun. Right.
Right.
And then the hero is like, okay, let's create a budget and let's, you know, so we dance around in these different areas. You know, and you can apply it to any of those, to time, to money, to sex, time. You're not giving me enough time. I feel like a victim here, or, you know, I'm going to give you so much time and be the hero, like all those different things. So what we do is help you recognize what those patterns are, where you're stepping into those roles, how it's creating dysfunction, how it's not really creating solutions, and how to step out of the drama triangle, right? How to learn who you really are outside of the drama. And you can even have drama inside yourself, right? We have the voices inside our own head, who you really are, and stepping out of the drama triangle so you become team members, right? So we have a little more unity, a little more compassion, a little more understanding, a little more grace, a little more creativity. And the things that step us out of the drama triangle are collaboration, creativity, presence, and community. So when we step out of that, we step out of the drama triangle, which is a lot of that fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? We get into just different panic, and we get into different fears, and we get into different stories and negative beliefs about each other. We start to see each other negatively. We start to see ourselves negatively. And all of that creates a big, giant mess that keeps us really, really stuck. And when we can realize that we can step out of that into our higher selves of creativity and collaboration, then it's like taking someone like magnets pushing against each other, you know, and turning it around so the magnets are actually drawn together. And instead of it's like me against you, it's us against this issue. Like we're unified against this issue. And then we can become creative about solutions. We can have empathy and understand where the other person's coming from. And so in a nutshell, that is how I would go about, you know, helping couples that have an issue with intimacy, sex, with money, with parenting, with time, and really understanding that if we strip away all the drama triangle and all the false stories, at the end of the day, it will astound you how much you and your spouse actually want the same things. And I've talked to couples that are on the verge of divorce. I've talked to couples like, you know, maybe their spouse is having affairs, multiple affairs, sex addiction, pornography, all of that, right? And you think that you are so far apart from each other. You think that there's no way that they could possibly want anything close to the same thing you want. But when you take away what they're doing and you look at what they're actually wanting, we all really want the same things. And when you can kind of get all the crap out of the way and get to the heart of it, you realize I want the same thing as you. Oh, so let's take parenting for an example, right? You want the kids to be functional, healthy adults. Oh, I actually want that too. We're just going about it in very different ways. And that was kind of threatening to each other. I didn't see that that's where you're coming from at all. I thought you were trying to control them or, like whatever. And
Right.
so when you really strip that away, you realize we want the same things. Then you can create the same goals and work together as a team to get those goals met and to get those needs met.
Oh my gosh. Look, you guys need to understand, you've just been given hints and drops of nuggets that on this podcast. I mean, Heather just laid it out, like become unified. We want the same goal. Like this is mind blowing. Like you have people that are on the verge of divorce, multiple affairs, pornography addiction, and you're able to build them. You're able to strip away and say, we're unified. Let's get unified. Let's get behind the same purpose, the same focus, the same goal, the same everything. And let's save this. Let's not fall into the victim of society, which says, well, hey, $250, boom, easy, divorce, done. We'll write it up, $250, easy. You don't like it? Here's a pill. You don't like, well, here's another pill. Well, here's I got 30 different pills you can take to help soothe you, right? Get you out of the augment reality, right? Oh, just drink. Oh, drink some more. Let's go out, hang out. Let's just drink some more. Oh, that's easy. Well, I'm not getting it anyway. I might as well turn on I can go on the internet on my phone, and just start watching whatever they need to watch to fulfill that need. And I love it. What you just said is so powerful. It's so amazing. And patterns, finding and recognizing the patterns like that, I think is stripping it down at the core is just beautiful. So as we begin to wrap this up, I mean, we could go on and on. What your time is valuable. And I appreciate you. Give us some insight about what Thrive does, your programs, how you can help, how people can, if they need to reach out to you and they want to know more and they want to become better. And look, it's just not just couples. I mean, kids, but we have a lot of young kids, 18 to on up that are listening to this to become better adults. Maybe they're dating and want to be, they just need to be better at it. So tell us about Thrive. Tell us how we can get in contact, what it is, programs and so forth.
All right. Well, awesome. So what we primarily do is help struggling couples save their marriage from divorce, but you don't have to wait, like Cameron, you just said, to get to that point to be able to turn your life and your marriage around and have the relationship that your heart really craves. So if this resonates with you and you're saying, yeah, I want to get on the ship with you, Heather, I don't want to be like Noah and left out in the flood. They had the chance, they didn't do it. I don't want to be one of those. And I want to be one of the 8%. I want to have a healthy, thriving relationship for life and have that commitment and have that teamwork and have that deep level of connection. At the end of the day, we all crave that connection. We crave like being seen for who we really are. Ugliness, scars, weaknesses, frailties, all of it, and being accepted and loved for who we are. And so that is what we help you guys do, is see each other for who you really are and be accepted at that kind of a level, which is the greatest intimacy and security that you could possibly have, to be so real and so raw and so vulnerable with someone and be so loved and so accepted and appreciated and celebrated as you are. And so, yeah, the next step would be we offer a free marriage breakthrough session, a marriage analysis, and you can get that at highthrivecoaching.com/apply. They're limited though with how many we can take on each week. And right now this week, I think we're completely booked, but hopefully next week we'll have some more openings as of the time I'm recording this. I don't know when it will go out, but highthrivecoaching.com/apply. And we'll do an analysis of your marriage. One of the things that stood out to me that a mentor told me was that you cannot read the label when you're inside the bottle, right? So we're all inside the bottle of our own marriage and our own lives. And I can't see the label on my own bottle, right? I couldn't see the label on my bottle when I was going through cancer. I needed an expert who told me, Heather, to you, it feels like the world's ending. To me, it's just another Tuesday, right? I know what I'm doing. I know I'm an expert. I can guide you. I can read the label here and give you the exact treatment plan that's going to lead to the result you said you want. And so that's what we help you with. You have to choose where you want to go. No one else can choose that, right? You're
Right.
the only one that can choose where you want to go. And so when you make that choice of this is what I want to experience in my life, this is who I want to become, this is the kind of marriage that I want to have, this is the kind of impact that I want to leave and the legacy I want to leave with my kids, right? You decide where you want to go, and then the way makes itself manifest. And that way will always be exactly what it's meant to be for you. I can't say it's going to be with me. It could be, but it might not be. And that's totally okay. The only important thing that you come away with from this, my hope and my prayer is that you decide where you want to go, and then trust in that inner voice to guide you to that destination, because the way will make itself manifest. And so that's what we do. And I'm grateful and excited to do that and to help even more people become some of the top 8% of couples and learn the skills that our society is really not teaching us. It's amazing. It's inspiring to me every day. I just got a letter a couple of weeks ago from a child who said, "Thank you for saving my marriage, or my family, my parents. I'm so happy." And she drew me a little picture of her family holding hands. And it just brought tears to my eyes, because that's the kind of impact that is worth everything to me.
Right.
And that you guys can create in your own lives. You never know that when you make a positive change in your own life, the ripple effect that has for your spouse, for your children, for generations to come. It's amazing and insane. We can't even think about how big that impact really is, but that's the beauty that each of us has. We have that opportunity.
Oh, man, I just want to run through a wall right now. I mean, holy crap, that is fantastic. Look, you guys, you've been thoroughly indoctrinated, right? You have been given nuggets. You have been given all kinds of tips and coaching advice. And just, I mean, we've been on this for just a little over an hour, and it wouldn't be cheap, but Heather, out of her kindness of her heart, agreed to come on in this. I love it. Please, we'll have the links down below. We'll have the way you connect to her. We're on social media. We can, obviously LinkedIn and so forth. And when you reach out to her, let her know, hey, I heard you on the podcast and I want to change my life. And it's that step, right? Take that step to a better life, because you deserve it. Everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves a better life, a better shot. We just need the tools. And from someone who has walked the walk, who has literally been through hell and back, and then there and then back again, can get you to where you think you are, where you want to be, and where Heather will see you to be, I think is just powerful. It's beautiful. You don't have to be in the US. You can be all over the world, and she will help you out. Thank you so much for what you've been able to give us, the nuggets, being on here, giving us your time. We so appreciate it. Before I let you go, I ask everybody I interview, give us 5 books you would recommend us to read. They could be spiritual, they could be personal development or business development, whatever it may be. What 5 books that you would recommend anybody to read?
Yeah. So I'm going to have to start with spiritual. I mentioned I'm a person of faith personally. And so anything that draws you closer to your creator, for me, that's the Bible, and especially the New Testament and the words of Christ. So that would be the number one source of truth to me, where you get to find out who you really are by seeing yourself through the eyes of your creator and your maker, who loves you unconditionally. Beyond that, I really love A Happy Pocket Full of Money. I've just been going through that the second time, and I find it incredible. It talks so much about that reality really isn't real. It's just this perception that we have, and how to really own your creatorship as a human being, that we have the right to create the reality we want. I also love The Giant Leap by Hendricks. This talks a lot about upper limiting. Have you read it? Yeah.
Love that
The Giant
book.
Leap. Yep. And sometimes we're like, oh, there I am, upper limiting again, or, oh, here's my zone of genius, or this is my zone of excellence. And really, the more we step into that zone of genius, oh my goodness, life is just insane. It's so amazing. I love anything by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm a huge follower of his work as well. I love how he talks about like our eternal selves, and just totally opened my mind and my heart through his meditation and the work that he does. I went through his advanced meditation retreat this summer, and that was one of the closest moments I've ever had with God, with creator, was learning to still myself and find that deeper connection within. So I really love him. The last one is Lord of the Rings, because I am a huge Tolkien nerd. If I could live in Rivendell, that would be my heaven. So Lord of the Rings. And I love the lessons of, you know, we talked about some of the things in life of being pushed to the very edge, you know, and like Frodo is like, I can't do it anymore. And then who's there is like Sam, just unconditionally loving him and supporting him. And he's like, I can't carry the, you know, the ring, but I can carry you. And that always just brings tears to my eyes.
Yes.
And I love that whole series. So Lord of the Rings is a great one.
I love it. Thank you so much for all of that. I mean, that's the big leap, Guy Hendricks. That is probably, I think, the third time I've heard that, or the fourth time I've heard that as a recommendation. My wife and I just listened to that. November. I think it was in November we listened to that book, which is, you're right. Once you're like, we look at each other like, you're upper limiting yourself. You're like, yep, that's true. Are you in your zone of genius? Yeah, that's true. So thank you so much. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, a big nerd. I love it. I love the whole imagery, the passion. Thank you so much for being a part of this, guys. Please subscribe. Please go and follow Heather. Go reach out to her. I mean, you heard it from her. She just wants to help, give you the tools, break the patterns, break the cycle. Don't be the 8%. Let's get to 10, 15, 20%. Okay. Let's stop this. Let's break the cycle of this bad habits. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Guys, thanks for everything. Again, this has been another great episode of the ArchWU. We'll catch you again. Thank you so much. You have a great day.